What if the thing Boston keeps calling a solution is actually making things more dangerous? The city has cleared this same corner 7 times in 7 years. Each time, outreach workers lose track of the people they were working to keep alive. Welcome to Homeless in America. Boston is a city of contradictions, home to the nation's greatest hospitals, its oldest public park, and some of its most celebrated universities. 2 miles from Harvard Medical School, one intersection became the most visible collision of homelessness, substance use disorder, and systemic failure in New England. For 7 years, the city has swept this corner. For 7 years, the crisis has returned. Today, we go inside that loop and ask what it costs to keep declaring victory at an intersection where people are still dying. If these stories move you, subscribe now. Part 1. Context and Crisis. The intersection of Massachusetts Avenue and Melnea Boulevard did not become a crisis overnight. For years, Mass and Cass was the logical center of gravity for people experiencing homelessness and substance use disorder in Boston, because that is where the services were. Clinics, needle exchanges, outreach vans. The cluster of care was not, as a city would later frame it, a problem to be solved by removing the people. For the people who gathered there, it was the system working imperfectly, chaotically, but working. In January 2022, the city conducted its most publicized sweep. An estimated 100 people were removed from the encampments without shelter. The sweep was declared a success on the day it happened. By December 2022, 150 of those displaced people were still waiting for a bed at a city-sponsored, low-threshold site. The success metric was the empty corner, not what happened to the people who used to stand in it. Boston's 2026 point-in-time count recorded 3,674 people experiencing homelessness, a significant drop from over 5,500 the previous year. But advocates warn that number reflects policy restrictions on shelter access and families doubling up in overcrowded apartments, not fewer people in crisis. People are sleeping in state parks, under highway overpasses, across the city line in Cambridge and Somerville, just beyond the reach of the count. What the data does show: Boston recorded 120 opioid overdose deaths in 2025. The lowest in a decade. Genuine, hard-won progress, but Black and Latinx residents accounted for nearly half of those deaths, while making up 37% of the population. The progress is real, but it is not reaching everyone equally, and the people hardest to reach are the ones the sweeps displaced. Part 2. The spiral. To understand what happens at Mass and Cass, we have to look past what the sweep looks like and ask what it actually does. The American Medical Association published a finding that should have changed everything. Involuntary encampment displacement is associated with a nearly 24% increase in deaths among those displaced. Not because moving people is inherently wrong, but because moving people without housing is not a solution. It is exposure without a net. They are not nuisances to be cleared. They are people trapped in a loop that the sweep makes tighter, not wider. When Boston's 2023 encampment ordinance took effect, people scattered. They moved into state-owned parks, under bridges, into tunnels, across city lines, and outreach workers found themselves searching a city for people they had known by name at a single intersection. Rich Baker, a deputy director of prevention at one of Boston's largest outreach organizations, described the effect plainly. It became difficult to keep in touch with clients. They were no longer where outreach workers knew to find them. The corner that had made the work possible was gone. Trust built over months, the kind of trust that means someone picks up the phone on the day they're finally willing to ask for help, does not survive a sweep. And here is what that costs. When you scatter the people, you scatter the network. When you scatter the network, you scatter the naloxone. When you scatter the naloxone, people die in places where no one knows to look. We cannot measure a sweep by how clean the corner looks the morning after. We measure it by who is still alive the morning after that. Part 3. Faces and the day no one is born with a dream of sleeping under a highway overpass. Marcus, not his real name, has been without a home since his teenage years. By the time Mass and Cass had a name, he had outlived every version of it. He knew the outreach workers by name, the van schedules, who carried naloxone and who didn't. The 2023 tent bans scattered his network overnight, and a meeting with a housing placement worker that could have changed everything was missed because Marcus was no longer where anyone knew to look. He had not disappeared. The system had simply stopped being able to see him. The limit expired before any stable placement was found. She entered the street with no ID. It was lost inside the system. No rental history, no credit, no family to call. Invisible to every formal pathway, the community that formed on the street was the first community that did not have an expiration date on her. She is not a statistic. She is a product of a system that processed her and then discarded her the moment she stopped being a child. In the morning, survival now means navigating to an indoor harm reduction site, because care that once came to you now requires you to come to it. At night, it means finding a corner of the city that hasn't appeared on today's sweep list, and knowing that even if you find it, you may not sleep through until morning. The backpack holds everything: documents, medications, the small proofs of an existence the system keeps demanding, and every sweep is a gamble that it does not get thrown into a city truck before you can get back to it. The city sees an empty corner and calls it progress. The people who live there see a corner they can no longer find their way back to. Part 4. Locked doors and light section. A locked doors. The barrier loop at Mass and Cass is not complicated. It is just cruel. No address means no ID. No ID means no benefits. No benefits means no housing path. And housing is what an address requires. When a person is swept from an encampment, they often lose their documents, their belongings, and their connection to the system in a single morning. Starting again requires an ID, which requires a fixed address. The loop has no entrance door. City officials acknowledged in the years following the sweeps that there was a hole in the system at the moment of discharge from detox. The treatment bed was real. The step-down housing waiting on the other side was not. People returned to the street within days, not because they had failed, but because the system had not built the next step before releasing them into the gap. This is not a personal failure. It is a cage without a door. Section B. Light. But there are people who refuse to let the gap win. Victory Programs operates a drop-in center at 112 Southampton Street in Roxbury, just blocks from Mass and Cass. Their team provides syringe exchange, naloxone distribution, HIV and hepatitis screening, drug checking, and peer support. More than 390 physicians, nurses, and clinicians have aligned behind their model. The breadth of Boston's medical community, choosing harm reduction over punitive clearance. The Gavin Foundation, through Recovery Navigation Services at 135 Dorchester Avenue in South Boston, has connected over 600 people from Mass and Cass with inpatient treatment since 2025, one conversation at a time, on whatever corner of the city a person has ended up on this week. From a conversation, to a profile, to a treatment slot, to the first door of the journey home. Part 5. Hope plus Outrow. Since 2022, 214 people who once lived at Mass and Cass have been moved into permanent housing. That number is not nothing. It is 214 people who made it through the gap, proof that the path exists, even when the city cannot always see it. But this week, somewhere in the city, a harm reduction worker is walking towards someone on a block that isn't on any official map, carrying naloxone, carrying a referral card, carrying the thing that has always mattered most at Mass and Cass: the willingness to show up where the person actually is. A city is not measured by its tallest buildings or its most celebrated universities. It is measured by what it offers the person with nothing, and whether that offer finds them or waits for them to find it. What would change if we stopped measuring success by how clean the corner looks and started measuring it by who is still alive. Subscribe to Homeless in America and leave a comment below. Tell us what you think should change. Thank you for staying until the very end. Benediction. In this moment, we offer a quiet prayer for every person experiencing homelessness in Boston. May you find safety in the days ahead. May gentle hands reach out to you with kindness. May the weight you carry begin to lighten. And may a warm, stable home soon welcome you back.